important practice, hand reading. We can all be better hand readers. We all know it's a skill that we need to develop. So that's what these 66 days are all about. So we are on day 55 of 66 in a row. 5/6 the way there. Things are looking lovely. You can see on the screen right now, I got Poker Tracker 4, Showdown Hands, Merge Network, or Carbon is the name of the site that I play on. But what I want to look at today is spots where I face a raise on the turn, because quite often those, normally at the micro stakes, it means a very strong range is raising you on the turn. You know, people can be very dishonest and very aggressive pre-flop and on the flop, and they become very honest, and their bets really mean something on the turn and river. So let's take a look at some turn raising, not raising, but turn facing a raise opportunities here. So first, I mean, if we're facing a raise, basically we got to look at spots where we bet on the turn, right? So once we filter for this, we'll see spots where we bet on the turn. But we also want to see where we face a raise. So you got to go to Add, Filter, Actions, Opportunities. Now you have to have the opportunity to make a 3-bet. So you made that initial 1-bet raise. Your opponent raised you with a 2-bet. Now your chance to make a 3-bet right here. On the turn, obviously. So we save and apply filters. Let's take a look. Well, it looks like when I went to Showdown, when facing the turn bet, I'm a slight winner at $3.42, which is a 14 big blinds. Not too shabby right there. Only 18 instances where this happened. So let's take a look. Let's see here. A call, a check, bet, then call, check. Let's take a look at this where I think I like this one where we go from aggressive, and then passive, and then we're passive again on the river. But we showed 3 streets of aggression right here. So obviously we have something worth calling, but something probably not worth raising on the river. Let's see if we can narrow my range with that hand there, or with the run out on the board, you know. So we'll move this. As you know, we always use Split Suit's hand reading template here. Hand number 88274908. So where are we? Oh, on the button. Sweet. What happens? We open, fold, and then Home Tiger calls. Now you could see our big blind loose aggressive player, 2723, definitely loose aggressive, likes to do 3-betting, C-bets plenty, folds and steals 80% of the time. So only 20% he continues. So he has he's a bit selective out of the blinds, which he should be if he's a loose aggressive player. A reg player like this who's loose aggressive, they know not to play too many hands out of position. So we of course want to use the Flopzilla. We've got our 2 different, the heroes range up top, villains range down below. And when we're doing range versus range action, we're always looking at the, we always use hold EQ to compare the 2 ranges. So let's take a look here first at my range. You can see I'm on the button when I choose to raise right here. And let's take a look, give myself a 2-bet raising range. We'll look at 30%. Let's add some aces here. 10-9, I'm down with those. King 8, I'm often adding King 7 in. Sometimes I'll go all the way. Let's see, he folds 100% so far, 4 out of 4, and 80%. Yeah, so they're both folding quite often. I'd probably add all those suited kings in. And these are all possibilities. I might add them in. Let's go as far as Queen 7. And occasionally I like those suited double gappers there, so we'll add the 7s in. But we're going to stick with this range right here. This feels pretty good for a button open in a, is it a 4-way? Yeah, 2 players out, 4-way game. We're looking at 39%, 514 combos. Great, now we want to take a look at their range. So as we saw, our Home Tiger villain decided to just call, and his 3-betting, let's see, he chose not to 3-bet, right? 3-bet 6% in total, 3-bets out of the big blind 7% of the time. It's only 6 out of 81 instances, so it's really not that high. So we want to give him a decent, let's see, 2-bet calling range. We'll start at 17%, 13%. Let's start at 22%. Now, he 3-bets 7%, right? So, which is decent, but he might be picking a lot of good re-steal spots. Let's say that he's 3-betting queens or better. Jacks could be. Now, oftentimes players will, these will be kind of situational, jacks or tens. I really don't know. See, I don't want to click on the notes because if I click on the notes, sometimes I make notes on hands and I might read about this hand in the notes. So I don't want to look at those hands or look at those notes to see what he kind of 3-bets with. 3-betting at 7%. I mean, he might be choosing plenty of suited aces for his 3-bet bluffing range and maybe just calling with jacks and below. So let's say he's calling with jacks and below. Let's not give him all those weak aces as a calling range. Let's keep him to the best broadways here. Maybe ace 9. Yeah, we'll keep that one in. And I'm pretty sure a player like this, he could 3-bet here. He could 3-bet here as well. But I'm sure those are also in his calling range occasionally. It just depends on maybe who's doing the open. So yeah, we can, I don't want to say he's calling every king here. I mean, 22% seems a bit wide. What is his just calling? Calling the 2-bet from the big blind, 12% so far, which as you can see by that number right there, he's calling 10 out of 81. So he has had plenty of instances to call, and he's pretty good at 12%. So this calling range might be a little wide, actually. Let's remove the 8s. Let's bring him closer. Let's say he's not calling those offsuit 10s. Let's give him just the best offsuit hands, 17%. It's a bit closer to 12. I like the jacks through ducks. I like the 6-5 suited. I like the king 9 and all those aces. Okay, we're going to give him this kind of tighter range. As you can see, we have 700 hands on the guy. 17%, 224 combos. Now, because we have so many hands on the guy, these stats right here are pretty reliable. Not super reliable, but pretty darn reliable at 700. If he's been calling 12%, we can probably give him something at least a little closer to that, as opposed to that 22%, that first range that we looked at. So if these are the two ranges right here, you can see our equity is at 49%, 48% versus his 51%. And the reason why is, sure, we have aces, kings, and queens in our range where he doesn't. But he has plenty of strong aces, and a lot of his suited hands currently beat this wider range that we're opening with. And you can see when it comes to the offsuits, he has quite a few offsuits, which currently are better than a lot of those other offsuit hands that we have. So he's a slight favorite at 52% right now. What happens on the flop? 3-4-3 spade spade club. So on this board, sure, we have quads, we have a full house in our range, so does he. Whoops, where'd it go? So does he. In his range, he has 3s and 4s as well. So on this board of 3-4-3, he actually has, slightly, just a tiny bit more, 52% versus 48%. So 4 of spades, 3 of spades, 48. Okay, cool. What happens here? He checks to us. Makes sense. We were the pre-flop aggressor. Now we bet just half pot, and he just calls. Okay, so what are we betting just half pot with here? The board's not the wettest of boards. It doesn't necessarily hit his range all that well. 37%, he has a top pair or better with plenty of over pairs in the range that can be giving us value. Lots of draws and stuff, and some combo draws as well. But what are we betting currently? We only hit the flop 27% of the time, as you can see. Not the best of flops for us, but we do have all those overpairs, and currently with our raise, we're repping plenty of overcards and overpairs at this time. So a c-bet is oftentimes taking this one down on such a hard-to-hit board. So I think we're c-betting half pot with quads, with full houses, with 3 of a kind, just to start getting value with some of these stronger hands. Overpairs, I'm down for all the overpairs betting half pot, totally. Top pairs, sure, why not? Just those random 4s, going to be betting. We have the overcard ace or the king. The 5-4 is not great, but it's very possible. I hit a pair right here. He could have 2 overs without any spades. That could easily just fold. So I think top pairs could be betting. Weak pair time, I am in position. How he folds 62% of the time. That's a pretty decent percentage. I might c-bet my weak pairs one street and then give up if he decides to call. Ace highs, yeah, not necessarily. I'm going to put a lot of those ace highs, although, I could be betting most, if not all, these ace highs. Yeah, why not? It's one street right here. He folds 62% of the time. My half pot bet only needs to work 33% to be profitable. He folds 62, so yeah, it's profitable. I'm not going to say no made hand, but some of these will be included with flush draw stuff. Flush draw is totally betting. Open enders betting. The gutters, what are those? 7-5. Yep, I'll be betting those, as well as those aces, as we already included. Overcards. Now, just straight overcards, I'm not always betting them. It's possible, but a lot of these overcards are included with our flush draw stuff. And the ace highs as well. So I'm not going to just include the blanket overcard. If I do, we're close to 100% right there. 2-card backdoor flushes. Nah, I'm not a big fan on a paired board of betting backdoor flushes. But some of those, like I said, are included up here. Flush draw, gut shot plus the overcard. Cool. So I'm c-betting 60% of the time. He's folding 62% based on his percentage here. So I like this range of c-betting, bluffing. Well, we keep our strongest hands and plenty of bluffs in our range as well. So 60% here, which combo-wise is 295 combos. Lovely. Now, our opponent's flop range, as you can see, he folds 62% of the time, and he just calls. So what is he just calling with? Why isn't he raising us in this instance? Quads, he's out of position. You know, full, we started with 100 big blinds, pretty close to its stacks. I think with quads, fold 62. Let's take a look. So out of position, his check raise c-bet is only 20% of the time. So when he's check raising, he often has a really good hand. I am going to take quads out of his range because I think with quads, you have the nuts, I c-bet. You'll want to at least min raise it to $1.60 to try to get value out of me, because right now I have plenty of overpairs and overcards, flush draws, just a random ace of spades or king of spades that can call a min raise right now and look to play the pot in position. So I really think he should be raising. So I'm going to take quads out. I'm going to take full houses out because he should min raise just to get some value out of us. And then once he min raises and builds the pot to $4.80 on the turn, then he can donk lead for like $3.50 and get us to call if we pair up on the turn or something, you know, if he does have some of these nutted hands. 3 of a kinds, I think those should raise too for value right now. We're repping over cards, like I said, and over pairs, so we should be calling quite a bit. Does he have over? Is he just calling with over? I think he could just call with over pairs. For one thing, we still have aces, kings, and queens in our range, which currently beat all these. We also have jacks and tens and nines, which beat the 5s, 6s, 7s, and 8s. And a lot of times those weaker over pairs just kind of play passively, and he might call down flop, turn, river. Like, let's say he has a pair of 9s. He'll call down if the turn and river come 8-5 or 8-6 or 7-6. Maybe not 7-6 because it makes a 5 a straight, but I mean, he'll call down with a lot of stuff. Just play it passively. So I think all those over pairs are in the range. Top pair time. All those 4s, yep, they have a redraw for the ace for, you know, ace high or a pair of aces. So yeah, it's possible they can check and call top pairs. Weak pairs. Now, just the deuces, I don't know. I think a tight aggressive player like this who folds a decent amount, I think he's given up the deuces. I would think so right there, those weak pairs. Ace highs, in general, I think ace highs are probably just folding. Now, he will have some ace high draws here that will include in, but just the straight ace highs will take out. No made hand, no flush draws, totally calling, check calling, why not? Open enders, yep, totally check calling. Now, he could check raise with these, but just because he's check calling, we can't take the flush draw out. We've got to keep it in as a possibility. Gutter balls, yep, those are check calling. Overcards now. I don't think so. A lot of these overcards will include him as flush draws and stuff, so I'm not just going to put straight up overcards in his out of position calling range on a paired two-tone board. Nope. 2-card backdoor. They're kind of weaker. It is only a half pot bet. Let's give him overcards have 6 outs. 2-card backdoor flushes. We just count that as 1 out. Nah, let's not give him any of those either. Let's give him the combo stuff though. Oh, interesting. So I'm saying that he's continuing 38% of the time, and then we see that that's right in line with his current stats. At least he's continuing 38% of the time with his stats as well. So 38 and 81 combos. So we've narrowed him quite a bit with the board and with the way he's played it right here, passively playing the turn. Now let's see what happens. The 10 of spades hits. So on the 10 of spades, completes any flush draws for me or for him as well. I guess he has 10s. I have 10s in my range too, so we both have full houses possible. Now, his range has 61% equity. Because we had so many more bluffs in our range that this 10 just didn't help at all. He actually went up in equity, range versus range right here. So on the 10 of spades, he's got 61%. Gravy. What happens here? As we know from filtering, we're going to face a raise. How much do we bet? How much does he raise? We bet slightly over half pot. Half pot on the flop, slightly over half pot on the turn. On a scary turn, makes me think we just hit our hand. We hit our full house, 10s full. We hit our flush, ace high flush, whatever it might be. We hit ace 10 with the ace of spades. I mean, there's plenty of stuff in our range that we just now hit on that 10. So we bet half pot, a little over half. Oh, that's a good size re-raise there. Not re-raise, just a check raise. Okay. We decide to just call. So let's take a look at first his raising range, his check raising range at this time. No quads in his range. Is he check raising his full houses? Totally. Check raising flushes? Totally. All of his ace highs, all the way down to 6-5, yeah. And 6-5 and 7-6 still have backdoor or backup equity if we have a higher flush with straight flush possibilities. So yeah, he'd be check raising all of those, trying to get value out of our likely aces, kings, queens, jacks over pair. So that was the flushes. There are no straights in his range. 3 of a kind, none. Over pairs. Now what does he have? Just jacks? Jacks could throw out the bluff here. The check raise bluff. Well, kind of a semi bluff. I mean, well, no. He could throw that out thinking that we barreled with ace, king, king, queen, and he wants to charge us to try to hit our 6 outs. Or he thinks that maybe we are just barreling with like pocket 8s or 7s, and he currently has a speed. I think jacks are in his over pair betting check raising range. Doesn't have 2 pairs, doesn't have top pairs. Pocket pair below. On this scary board, he could be turning these small showdown hands into bluffing hands. And let's say we call and the turn or the river comes something ugly, we might check behind and he could possibly win with his 8s or 9s if we just have like an ace of spades or king of spades. So he could be turning some of those into a bluff here. Mid pairs, just those weak 4s, I kind of doubt it. I mean, that's just so weak right there. Very little showdown equity. And we do have some of these others. We're going to give him some other bluffs down here. I don't think just a mid pair, it's not good enough to bluff. I think he'd be bluffing with a little bit of equity, like hopefully he can hit something on the river. So we're not just going to put straight up bluffs in his range, check raising range right here. And look how big he's check raising too. That's a pretty decent amount, right? $1.75, $3.50 would be half, so 2 1/3 times. Yeah, it's a decent size. It's more than min raise. So let's see, weak pairs, no ace high, no. Nut flush doesn't have any. Second nut flush draw doesn't. Third nut flush. Weak flush draws. Those are all the random spades. So jack, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 of spades. Well, we put them in as pocket pair below is check raising. Yep, they're check raising here too because they are kind of semi bluffs. He'd prefer us to fold, but if he does hit a emergency spade on the river, that could be a flush winner if we have pocket kings or something. No flush draws, no open ender. Are those really going to check raise now? Just open ended on the 3 flush. I don't think so. I think they're check calling for $1.75. I'm not going to say that. And gut shots, no, not check raising. Check calling or check folding the gut shots. Yeah, so basically we're giving him some of the strongest hands for check raising right here. And then down here, he is check raising with showdown equity and with decent draws. Makes sense to me. 79% of the time, 57 combos. Now, what is our bet calling range? That's the question. Are we betting and calling with quads? Heck no. I'm betting and then re-raising, I believe. Betting calling full houses? Nope. I'm betting and raising flushes now. I think nut flushes. I am going to be betting and then raising the nut flushes. The pot is starting to grow. I could bet and then call with the king high flushes. Just thinking that, hey, I have position. If he checks the river, I could bet the river for value because he could be check raising with the ace of spades right now, or even the ace high flush that currently beats me. It's not the super nut, so I think I could bet and then call with the second nut flush and below, even all the way down through 6-5, of course. I'm gonna say that, yeah, yep, all those, the kings, the queens, jacks, yeah, all those. I am betting and then calling. I could raise sometimes, but look, it's a paired board and I don't have the nuts right now. It's slightly scary, so I might be playing this cautiously in position. And if he checks the river, I would like to think I am betting my king high flushes at least, queen high probably, and maybe jack high I'm checking behind as well in case he's trying to trap me. Let's see here. Bet calling 3 of a kind. Oh, totally. Yeah. I have a redraw to a full house and I beat his current flushes that are check raising. Yep. Bet calling. Over pairs. Aces, kings. Yep. I think I'm bet calling there because he at least is 1 street and then I can play it. I can base my river play on the card that comes and his action. So I can call with over pairs. 2 pair, none in the range. Top pair time. Those 10s that just now hit. Am I betting and then calling with 10s? Yeah, like I said, he has 9s, 8s, 7s, 6s, and 5s in his check raise bluffing range. He also has the random flush draw, like I said, just the random ace or the king or the queen of spades. So I think I am bet calling because I'm currently beating a good portion of his bluffing check raising range. Pocket pair, I'm probably folding those right here. Mid pairs folding, weak pair, no made, nope. Nut flush, totally continuing nut flush draws. Second nut flush, well, it's also an overpair, kings, right? If I hit a king, I now have a full house, the nut full house, which would be great. And the ace king with the ace of spades, totally, I'm staying in right there. And the king of spades as well. Yeah, so I'm betting and calling. Third nut flush draw. I have the queens for 2 outs. I also have 9 outs for a third nut. I think I'm betting and then calling the third. Now, all this weak stuff, pocket jacks, it is an overpair. I don't think I'd be betting and calling with all those. I don't think I'd be betting and calling with these flush draws. I think the jack of spades might be the only one I'm doing this with. I would think so. Yeah. Down here. So no flush draw, no open ender. No, I'm not bet calling open ender on a 3 flush board. Gut shots, no. So I've actually narrowed my range down quite a bit right here, down to 107 combos. And 38%. So let's take a look at our equities right now. So with the way that we've ranged ourselves and our opponent, we're at a 50-50 chop right now. He is slightly ahead with his range versus ours because we are currently calling with plenty of weaker flush draws still in our range. Ace of hearts. What does that do to equities here? Great. We now have 72% equity. We had plenty of those nut flush draws in our range, and then we suddenly paired up on the nut flush draw. It didn't put 4 flush on the board, so all of his flush draws that he currently had are currently losing to all those aces in our range, and we have way more aces than he does in our range right now. So you can see that gave us a 72% equity on that ace of hearts. Lovely. 72% equity versus 28. Now, depending on my hand, I think we should be betting plenty of stuff right here. Checkaroo, and then we check behind too. Well, let's remove cards. Now, is there anything... Okay, if he had a nut hand, he's betting, right? So we can definitely remove the nuts. I mean, the pot's so big, $11. He doesn't want us to check behind if he does have a full house or if he does have a... like the ace high flush. He doesn't want us to check behind. He wants to go for some value. So he's checking and he's getting rid of all of his stronger stuff. Yep, full houses. He's not now flushes. He's probably check calling a lot of flushes. So we can remove his nut flushes from his check calling range. From his checking range. I think he'd be betting all of his nut flushes to get value. His second nut flushes, is he betting this for value? I would think so. We showed passivity on the turn. If we had a full house on the turn, we would be betting. Sure, that ace, maybe now we have ace 3 for a full house or pocket aces for a full house, but I think he would be betting king high, at least even like bet folding even just $5, less than half pot. He might do that. So let's take away the tops of his flush range. No straights, no three, no, nope. So he's checking those. He's checking pocket pairs below. He's checking all those weak pairs as well. Yep, I think that's good. I'm good with putting him on this range. Copy. 77%, 44 combos. Great. So now what are we checking behind right here? I am not checking full houses. I've got to be betting at least a few bucks to get some value. My flushes? It is a paired board. The ace suddenly hit, but it's not like he has that many ace threes in his range. And I would think if he's betting, but he could be checking behind, he could be checking king high and queen high flushes. It is possible. So from my perspective at this time, he just checked to us on this paired board. We have the flush right here. What am I definitely betting? I really think I'm betting all my king highs. I really do. And I'm probably checking behind these, just playing cautiously. Yeah, I think so. I'm probably checking behind third nut flush on paired boards. Yeah, I'm probably doing that. Checking behind my trips because it's because I don't beat a full house. I mean, I don't beat a flush with my trips, so I'm probably checking behind. Good two pairs, checking behind. Top pairs, checking behind, and this checking behind as well. So 79 combos, 82%. So if we take a look at the two checking behind ranges currently, our equity is 84%. I think just looking at our range right here, depending on what my actual hand ends up being, if I'm pocket pair below, I totally understand checking behind. But I really think I should be betting most of my flushes here. I think I should be betting all my flushes. Three of a kind, I'm down with checking behind on this kind of scary board. Yep. Okay. Let's see what happens. Pocket jacks and queen 8 suited. Oh, I do have a flush. So queen 8 suited is in my range, and I checked behind with the third nut flush on a paired board, and then he had pocket jacks. Was that? Yeah, we had the over pair from the flop in the turn still in his range. Second pair once the river hit. Did he have a spade at least? Oh, he didn't even have a spade. Yeah, so he checked raised us on the turn, probably hoping that we would just fold all of our aces and kings and queens, and maybe calling with our underpairs. Maybe that's what he was hoping for. My guess is he was just hoping for us to fold right here, and he had backup equity with an overpair, I think is what. He wasn't going for value with his raise. It's possible, but I doubt it. Yeah, so I ranged both of us successfully, but I think in the end I missed out on a value bet. But if you think about it, if I value bet this river, what is he calling with? Is he calling with the jacks on this river? I doubt it. Is he calling with just a 10 or just an ace? Maybe just an ace he's calling. Trip threes he's calling, but like we said, he doesn't have many trip threes. I think I'm not getting called much if I value bet here, so I'm actually fine checking behind at this point, because there's not a ton of stuff that's going to give me value. Most of the things that are going to be giving me value are trips or better. I think even an ace or a 10, I think he can find a fold, because I've showed that I like my hand through 3 different streets right there. Yep, so, okay. Now upon further consideration, I'm down with checking behind because I'm not getting value from too much in this instance. Alrighty, well, thank you very much everyone for watching day 55 of 66 days of hand reading. Come back next time for day 56. Peace out.